7 p.m. Get there early, folks. Get there early. Want to make sure it's not the last home game of the season. Warriors have been really good at Chase Center this season, 33-8 in the regular season. Now, I know they dropped a couple so far in these playoffs, Game 6 to Sacramento, Game 1 to L.A. Lakers, so they need to rectify that and get their home court back. But, Dub Nation, time to stand up today. Get there early. Get there early. Cheer this team on, man. Cheer this team on. Let's go. Down 3-1 against the L.A. Lakers. And 36 years ago today, Sleepy Floyd is Superman. You ever hear that call? Sleepy Floyd is Superman. He lit up the L.A. Lakers, dropped the 50 burger on them.
It's time. Because you know what Lonnie Walker did on what Kobe did as well.
Superman. 26 years ago to that day.
So now it's the Warriors' turn to match it.
Yeah, you got to match that. Sleepy Floyd, by the way, of Georgetown University, a good dude. Of course, that was probably his highlight in his NBA career. He was dynamic in those 87 playoffs. 21 points a game, 10 assists, 2 steals. Of course, lighting up the L.A. Lakers there. That was a great, great, great basketball game. I love watching those highlights. Still holds the record for most points in a quarter with 29 and in a half with 39. Guy had 39 points in a half.
Somebody's beating it today.
Wow.
Got to.
39. He hit 12 straight field goals in the fourth quarter, finished with 51 points as the Warriors prevented a sweep of the L.A. Lakers. Of course, the Lakers have won 6 straight series against the Warriors in the NBA playoffs. However, they hadn't met up since 1991 when the Lakers beat the Warriors in 5. All right, Rob Parker, Fox Sports 1. We know all about him here in the Morning Roast. I don't even feel like going through his titles because of the junk he's been talking lately, but check out his website, MLBBro.com. Does a great job there. The founder and editor covers black and brown players from around the major leagues, chronicling the past of both the path of both past and present black and brown players, highlighting their achievements in the game right now and from a historical standpoint. Inside the Parker podcast every Tuesday, of course, with Chris Broussard on Fox Sports 1. He does everything. But, Rob, I want to start it off this way. And good morning to you. Thanks for coming on. I want to start off with your thoughts on Vita Blue. I know you're tapped in with baseball. I got to work with Vita Blue a couple years, about 8 years ago when he was doing that. Analysis for the San Francisco Giants, and he passed away and left us. And it's tough to speak on him because he was such a great dude, fun-loving guy, and we lost him. And one of the most disheartening things about his death is he's still not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, which is a crime to me. When he won 3 straight World Series, a Cy Young, and MVP award, was one of the better pitchers in the 70s. Vita Blue, your thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely one of the most colorful and tremendous pitchers that we saw and a part of that dynasty with the A's. That's always the thing that I talk to like younger people and some of my students I teach at USC when we talk about the Oakland A's and just the history of that franchise and how many great players played there. I think, people think of the A's now and don't think too much of them, but my God, when you think that Reggie Jackson played there and Catfish Hunter and Vita Blue. But Vita Blue, that 1971 season was just tremendous. When you look at some of those numbers for people who I know have probably looked at them with the passing of Vita Blue, but 24-8, 24 complete games, 8 shutouts, over 300 strikeouts. I mean, won the MVP and the Cy Young. That doesn't happen very often. That was a tremendous year. And if you look at the 3 years that they won the World Series, he was a big part of the dynasty that the A's had. So, rest in peace, Vita Blue, a true baseball legend.
Yeah, and a better dude. He was a great guy off the field as well. Got to know him very well, Vita Blue. Our memories of him, may you rest in peace, as well as his family. Condolences go out to them. All right, let's get to basketball here, Rob, because that's why you're on. I know you wanted to come on, and you love coming on. You still owe us some wings, by the way. We haven't forgotten about that.
I'm coming June 6th.
June 6th.
I know June 6th. Don't worry about the finals. There won't be any finals to be worrying about, so you guys can meet up with me.
You talk about
June 6th.
You must be talking about finals in college, right? Because we graduated already. Those are the only finals. I mean, the NBA finals, you mean the Warriors Invitational. You think the series is over, huh, Rob?
Yeah, all right.
You already think the series is over.
Good luck with that. That's all I'm saying.
Warriors, you don't think the Warriors have a shot to rally back from a 3-1 deficit, Rob?
No, I don't. I really don't. They're not a good road team, haven't been all year. I don't see them winning 3 games in a row. I don't know what they're going to do to combat Anthony Davis and the size difference that they have. And God forbid you need a big shot at the end with Steph. That's not happening. So if you do that, it's a a recipe for disaster. And this has always been my pushback. You know this. We've had this conversation. When you talk about somebody being the greatest of all time, you nitpick. You got to look at their entire career and resume and look. And now Steph missing those 2 shots. End of game 5. He's now 0 for 12 with a chance to tie or win the game in the playoffs. And that's just that number hits you squarely in the face. As great as he is, all the logo threes and 3-quarter shots and the circus and the confetti and all the other stuff and the shimmy and all those good things, he has not knocked down one of those shots. I think that's incredible. And when you talk to NBA players, former players and people, and you ask them, who would you rather take the shot at the end of the game? Steph Curry's name never comes up. That's why he can't be considered the greatest shooter of all time.
So you're not even giving him greatest shooter. First you went from greatest of all time, then you went to greatest shooter.
No, it was never greatest of all time. Shooter, I'm talking about. He was never in the greatest of all time conversation.
Well, here's the thing, Rob. So we all saw this, and it's very specific, this 45 seconds that ESPN put out, right? Because Steph is 6 of 13 on those same shots from the minute to 45-second mark. But nobody is talking about that. So my question
is... No, because he's 0 for 12.
But my question is...
You can't run from that number.
I'm not running from 12. It. But my question is, number one, what would be acceptable? And number two, what are the numbers that... If you're saying he's not the greatest shooter of all time, who has that number that's, he's beating Steph in here, so he's the greatest of all time? Who is that?
No, I'm just talking about when you try to crown somebody that, and you can't use the idea that people would take Reggie Miller or Ray Allen at the end of the game, or even a Robert Horry at the end of the game over Steph Curry, when you add all of that together. So maybe you can't really call him the greatest shooter because of that. If he had, I'm not saying he had to be 12 for 12, but if he had some signature baskets in those moments, then I think you could look at it differently. That's all I'm saying. When you go out of your way to say somebody's the greatest shooter of all time, and you can't come up with the shot that he made that was heard around the world, that's a problem. I think that's the argument. Is you could call him whatever you want, greatest 3-point shooter, or whatever, or greatest 3.5 quarter shooter of all time, whatever you want to call him. But when you talk about calling somebody the greatest of all time, which is always debatable and a conversation, there's no math to it. I'm just telling you why I have always had a problem dubbing him the greatest shooter of all time. Because when I ask former players and people, who would you want to have the ball at the end of the game when you need a bucket? Nobody says Steph Curry.
So if Steph has the regular season stats and you're putting a Ray Allen or a Reggie Miller in the area of the clutch shots, right? Even though, putting Ray Allen there, we can agree to disagree. So the answer is there is no greatest shooter of all time?
I just think that for me, it would be hard for me to do that, to name him. My problem is, if you're going to dub somebody that, the resume has to include some of those clutch shots. And that's what he does not have. Okay? And that's what I think. That's what hurts his resume.
See, Rob,
that's all.
Rob,
but we talk about cherry picking the 45-second mark.
Well, Rob,
so
we're going to sit down.
A minute to 45 doesn't count.
You could call it cherry picking. That's a clutch shot at the end of the game.
Rob,
I was in Cleveland when Michael Jordan made a shot at the buzzer to win a series, not to win a game, to win a series. If he missed the shot, they lose. His team goes home. So you could say it's cherry picking. But there were a lot of great players who have made shots at that moment. I just brought up Robert Horry. I'm not saying he's the greatest. He was a reserve player, but he came up clutch and made big shots in big moments. All I'm saying is you can parade all of the Steph stats you want and have a parade and a party, but you can't be mad at other people who look at his entire body of work and say, I'm not on that chip. I'm not on that parade. I'm not throwing any confetti is what I'm saying. That's all. You can have your opinion. I'm not going to tell you what you value, but to use you guys are just cherry picking because it's 45 seconds. No,
Well,
that's a real stat. 0 for 12.
Well,
That's
this is how great. This is how, and we got Rob Parker on. We love Rob Parker. A couple of Chris Broussard. I always have him on. I can't wait to see you June 6th. Jason Dumas will bring Alan Stiles. We'll bring the whole crew.
Yes,
Because I think you need to get educated. You need to get educated on who Steph Curry is. Obviously, you haven't watched a lot of Steph Curry. Rob, maybe you sleep watching Maybe you're too.
No, I did watch.
Oh.
I watched when they were up 3-1 in the NBA final. The first team to ever choke down a 3-1 finals in NBA final history was the Golden State Warriors. I watched. Do you remember that? No, you guys forgot that.
No, we remembered, and then 2 weeks later we forgot because Kevin Durant came to town, and we knew that was done. We knew those championships were coming back to the Bay Area, but we don't make excuses. Even though Steph Curry was playing on one knee, we're not going to make those excuses. You get on the court, you played bad. You played bad in Game 7. He'll admit it. He played bad, but you're forgetting about OKC in Game 6 of that same season. Everybody gives Klay Thompson all the credit, and he deserves it. He was dynamic, but Steph Curry hit the go-ahead three. He put the game on ice when he took Serge Ibaka one-on-one for a nice little dance and banked it off the backboard to make sure that it was a Game 7. We forget that he scored 30-plus in Games 5, 6, and 7 of that series to rally from a 3-1 deficit. What about Toronto Game 5 to send the series back to the Bay Area? And then, Rob, you know my favorite, Game 4 in Boston when he dropped 43 to even the series up. He carried the team.
How did they choke down a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals the first time in the history of the NBA? Steph Curry had 2 home games, and the greatest shooter couldn't win one
know what
game
happened.
in the last 3. What happened?
We know what happened. Kiki Vanaway did a solid to the NBA, to all the NBA fans who were starving for basketball and suspended Draymond Green for Game 5.
One game.
And then Bogut gets hurt in that same game, so he's out for the rest of the series. So now you're playing Varejao and my buddy Festus Ezeli, who weren't getting a lot of run. And then Game 6, Iguodala gets hurt. We know what happened.
Go look at the Warriors' the first championship and see how many great players were injured on the road to that championship.
Well, we don't make excuses, right?
Run and go get Kevin Durant. You wouldn't have the other.
Well, Kevin Durant wanted to come here to play the best basketball he's ever played.
No. They went to Hampton to go recruit him. Are you
Why
kidding?
not?
They begged him.
Hey, what would the Yankees do, Rob? What would the Red Sox do? What would the Niners and Cowboys do in the 90s? It's all about getting the best talent, right? Best talent's out there available. Let's go see what's up. Let's see if we can get them. This is what the big dogs do. You think the Lakers will sit back if they had all the money, say, oh, Kevin Durant's in the Hamptons. Yeah, we don't need him. He's too good of a player. This is what the big boys do, Rob. You know that.
My point is very simple. There's only one player who's choked down a 3-1 lead in NBA history. This is one.
That's fine. They can have that.
It's just funny how when Steph wins, it's a team game, but when Steph loses, it's Steph. That just was funny to me, Rob.
Rob, let me ask you this.
If he knocked down did you think he was going to make that shot when
I did.
Up those last 2?
I did, but here's the thing. Rob.
You couldn't have because there's no track record for it.
No, I thought he was going to make it. That's a good material, Rob. You're running good material. But the triple-double he dropped, the mastery of him, he had his fingerprints all over that game. If Steph Curry doesn't drop a triple-double, the Warriors get blown out. Why? Because Klay Thompson's 3 of 11.
It's not about that. It's not. You could use that argument about, he was playing by himself, and if it wasn't for Steph, they wouldn't. No, they were there. They were there to win the game, and they got the ball in the hands of one of the greatest shooters who ever played in the NBA.
Rob,
he had 2 open looks. Come on now.
He is the greatest shooter. First of all, Rob, look, I know you don't do it. But let's be real. He is the greatest shooter of all time. If Reggie Miller, Ray Allen know it, we all know it. He's the most devastating shooter and the greatest shooter of all time. Yeah. That's why everybody sends 3 guys at him.
It can't make a big shot.
But that's what it is because...
The Bang game? That was a big shot. But Rob, the Bang game?
But Rob, you just said he missed 2 open looks, but then I'm also hearing that AD locked him up. So which is it? And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying because he missed, it's an open shot, but other people are saying it reminded them of Kevin Love and they got locked up. So it just keeps changing, Rob. But since Steph is so pedestrian, can you help us out, Rob? Who needs to help Steph tonight for the Warriors to get the W?
I mean, they need a lot. Everybody needs to show up. Are you kidding? I mean, the Warriors have had an uneven season. I know the whole Jordan Poole situation has happened there, and it's Draymond Green and Klay, of course, had the clunker. Klay needs to redeem himself and have a big game. Of course, it has to be more than Steph. But I just don't. I picked the Warriors in the series. Okay, I want you to know that.
We're surprised.
What?
That's a surprise.
No, believe it or
Why
not.
would you bet on the guy who
That's
can't
the
hit a shot in
problem.
the
That's
last
the
45
problem.
seconds?
What?
Why would you bet on the guy who can't hit a shot in the last 45 seconds?
Well, because I was expecting that they wouldn't need the last 45 seconds to beat the Lakers. How's that? And I was so wrong, but we'll see. I don't think they're going to win 3 games in a row. I don't think they're built like that. I just don't think this team is the same as the team that won a championship. I don't know if it's fractured from the Draymond Green punch or whatever happened here.
Well,
but it just doesn't feel the same to me.
what does it feel like from afar before we get you out of here, Robin? We do appreciate your time. We appreciate the laughs, even though you're dead wrong in this conversation. I know Chris Broussard is probably somewhere shaking his head. But Jordan Poole scored nothing in Game 4. And Stan Van Gundy joined us about an hour ago and said he noticed the body language. Looked like a kid who checked out in the third quarter. Can you get him back on track here? Because it has been an uneven season for the Warriors, and it's been an uneven season for him. How can it not be after what happened in training camp and having to see that everywhere? You go online, social media, you're getting memed, you're getting laughed at. How can you get Jordan Poole? Because they don't win a championship without Jordan Poole, let alone the series against the Lakers.
That's a great point, and it'll be interesting to see if Steve Kerr can reach him and get him to refocus and understand how important he is. But the Warriors did him a disservice when they didn't even penalize or suspend Draymond Green. I mean, and then passed it off that Jordan Poole was cool with it. I thought that was one of the worst things I've ever seen because the Warriors wanted Draymond Green at the ring ceremony to start the season. So they didn't want to suspend him. I just can't get over that was, how you started your season, and here you are in dire straits, and you've lost a player who you didn't stand up for at the time when something that should have never happened, and on their watch. So now they have to deal with it. So I don't expect them to rally. I expect them to lose, and I expect the Lakers to move on.
By the way, one of our great roasters here, Rob Jermaine Tyrone, tweeted at me saying, didn't Steph hit a game-tying shot over Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis was a Pelican in Game 3 when they rallied from 20 in the fourth quarter? He did hit a shot to send the game in overtime. He should have got the and one, which would have been a game winner. But, hey, Steph doesn't get calls. Rob, June 6th. We may be in Philadelphia or Boston for the NBA Finals, so we may miss you in the Bay Area.
You'll be home, and you'll be buying me some ribs or some wings or something. You will not be at the NBA Finals, so you don't have to worry about that.
Dumas and I and Alan Stiles and the rest of our crew will call you from the 215 or from Boston, man. You'll be without us, man, during the Finals. But we'll talk to you before that. We'll talk to you when the Warriors do make that happen, Rob.
All right. Always a pleasure, my man. Thank you, guys.
Anytime, Rob. Rob Parker here on the Morning Roast. He's a good dude, man. MLBBro.com, of course, the founder and editor, covers black and brown players from around the major leagues, chronicling the path of both past and present black and brown players, highlighting their achievements in the game right now from a historical standpoint. Inside the Parker podcast, and, of course, the Odd Couple with Chris Broussard on Fox Sports 1.